Hey guys, Cockapunk here. I'm here to do a video on one of the most exciting guns I've had on the show. It is arguably the ugliest paintball gun that has ever existed, which is funny. One thing to note beforehand is that I'm still sporting my beard. This is because Kitty from the UK, she's a pretty high-ranked player over there, woman player. She says my beard is irresistible, and so I'm going to keep it on just for her. She says guys who can grow a patchy, curly, almost pubic hair-like beard really get her going. So I'm going to leave it on there, and a lesson to all you kids out there, that when you can grow a really creepy beard, do it, because the women love it. But we'll move on to the gun that I'm here to tour, which is the ugliest paintball gun ever to exist, in my opinion. The drill sim marker by Tippmann might actually be more ugly, but this sucker is definitely in the running for ugliest gun ever. It's called the WarMachine Assault 80. It's the third iteration of, I think his name is Mike Wood. Third iteration of his original gun, the Nova, which was a spool valve gun with a reciprocating barrel. Came out in about the mid-90s. This guy came out in about 2002, 2003, and it was his third and so far last gun using that system. Speaking about the reciprocating barrel, originally these guys did have a reciprocating barrel attachment, but they were having problems because this gun is significantly faster than the Nova, of the barrel coming back and chopping paint because it's thicker. So they made an autococker breech. Another interesting thing to note about the breech on this gun is these three screws here. You pull these out and you can pull the front breech off, similar to like a Matrix style thing, except for you can rotate the breech either 90 degrees left and 90 degrees right, so you have your feed port sticking out either side. And in this case, you can run a warp feed or something like that and you don't have to put the warp feed elbow right here, which is kind of a cool feature. He's had that ever since the Mayhem, that there was the selective feed system. It's a spool valve gun. Works a little bit differently. The autococker threaded breech does have a bolt. It's a two-stage bolt like the level 10 that AGD makes, which has just a very small area to push the bolt initially, so it has very low force, and then at the end it ramps up the area so the bolt flies real fast so you can keep your rate of fire, which is pretty cool to see in a gun like this. The spool valve in this gun actually only extends back to here, so the whole gun operates right here. Back here we just have the board and a bunch of wires. In here we have the manifold. The solenoid is up front, which this is just a factory clippered solenoid, which I always like it when manufacturers use standardized parts for stuff like their solenoids and whatnot, because it makes getting a hold of them just so much easier. High pressure reg LPR. Gun runs on extremely low pressure. All the Woods guns operate at this incredibly low pressure. The Nova was about 95 psi. The Mayhem was right in there. This guy runs on 80, so it's a really low pressure gun, which has its benefits and has its drawbacks. Let's see here. Another interesting thing to note, it has the humpback frame, which I always like humpback frames. The trigger frame, or the trigger guard, is really small by modern standards, but I don't have a problem walking this gun quite quickly. The board goes up to, I think, 23 balls per second semi-auto, so it's plenty fast. Oh yes, here you go. Here's a cool thing. You see this hose right here? What this is actually, this is the dump chamber on the gun right here, and this is the regulator seat, like right by the regulator seat on the gun. And so, what happens is, oh, interesting. What happens is, the dump chamber here, as it's venting during the shot, is directly connected to the regulator itself. So, the pressure drops all through this line, and then the reg starts responding much faster than a normal design here, where when the bolt comes back and the dump chamber goes to refill, the pressure has to drop all through this whole line and up to the reg. Well, this thing is directly connected much faster, so it prevents shoot down really well. That's just a cool feature, in my opinion. I just think that's a cool feature. Something that I think new modern spool valve gun designers should take note. Wink, wink, wink. Another cool feature here is the board. It has a rate of fire button and a velocity button, which is interesting. It does have a tournament lock, by the way. On the board is a dip switch. But when you're chronoing this gun, instead of adjusting the regs like you do on a normal gun, you just set your regs to the pressures they're supposed to operate at. And then when you do the velocity, this guy raises the dwell up by, I think it's 1/10 of a millisecond each time. So it raises your velocity about 10 feet per second. At least that's what they say. Depends on your paint and a million things, but it's interesting to see a dwell-driven gun rather than a pressure-driven gun. So it's just a cool little gun. It definitely, in my opinion, is the most advanced spool valve gun to come out in about 2002, 2003. Because think about it, you're competing with this guy, which this guy gets about 900 shots at 68.45. This guy gets about 1,200, 1,300 shots. So it's much more efficient, especially than the Shockers. The original Shockers, terrible efficiency, even worse than this guy. This guy's also a lot lighter than this gun. Mostly because most of this is empty space. The Shocker, again, no eyes. This guy doesn't have eyes either, but the Jennies don't have eyes either, so until the 04-ish or so is when the Matrix got eyes. So it's definitely an interesting piece, and it performs just as well as any gun from that era. So I picked it up for 65 bucks in great condition, as you can see. And I'm very happy with it. It shoots crazy good for being so damn ugly. Anyway, other channel updates. I'm thinking I'm going to do pump reviews, so stay tuned for that. And just thanks for the support during my little vacation there. It came down to my integrity versus the rules of PB Nation, and guess what? That isn't going to fly. And if it happens again, it happens again. That's just the way it works. So, thanks for the support. I got messages, even while I was banned. I got messages, I got emails, I got YouTube comments, I got messages on other forums. People, speaking their support for me, and that's really cool. So, I'm glad there's other people out there like me who really see this whole thing as pathetic. So anyway, just give me a call back, or give me a call back. I feel like I'm talking to my girlfriend. Just leave some comments, and thanks for watching.